This video, we strive to remain spoiler-free, discussing only story and plot elements from the animated series relevant to what has already occurred on the Netflix show.
I am Max.
Crystal.
And I'm Bill, also known as Matt Stagger, and welcome to What the Adaptation, where we take things from one medium, such as books or animated series, and look at them as they're put into another one, such as live action. And joining us again is Crystal from Dragon Mount. Thank you for being here.
I'm excited to talk about this episode.
I am too. I really, really enjoyed this episode, way more than I probably should have.
You know, this was probably the hardest episode for me from the entire season.
Really?
And I think it's my new fandom that did it to me. Because I've binge watched Avatar in the last 6 months and Legend of Korra and all of the things, and I was recognizing all the plot lines that they put together, but I couldn't remember where they were coming from, having Jet come in and we introduced a certain character earlier. And I was just, I felt I had to sit back and I was like, okay. And I actually stopped the first time I watched it, went back, was watching some of the animated to find where all these pieces fit in. So it was actually really confusing for me, but I think it's because I've watched pretty much nothing but Avatar since April. So
that kind of makes sense. I'm really excited because the interaction between Zuko and Aang finally that we didn't get in last episode, we get this episode, and that little bit was just so much fun for me as a fan.
That was what I had written down as my highlight of this entire episode, was that moment right there.
Okay, so let's get to the first question. As a TV show alone, without taking adaptation into account, was this enjoyable?
Yes.
And for me, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was good TV.
It was very action. There was just a lot happening. You know, there's some episodes where you're like, okay, you can kind of zone out. I was really intent on this episode the entire time. I thought it was very good television. My only confusion was, like I said, I was trying to put all of the stories together in my head, but I thought it was very good TV.
Oh, agreed. I think the pacing they had to do with intertwining that many different storylines that are sort of merging was very well executed. So,
and I think how they did it, I know we weren't talking about the adaptation, but it did a really good job of illustrating that the attacks from the Fire Nation affected people in different ways. Everybody has their own response to trauma.
right.
You know, I'm a teacher and we talk a lot about trauma informed education and being aware that the Fire Nation has affected all of these different people, and their response to it was all very different, but it was all very valid. I mean, as much as I might not agree with what Jet was doing or what was happening, it is their response to the trauma that they lived through. And so I think it did a really good job of kind of illustrating that for people in a way that they hadn't been able to.
Yeah. I think it really showed Aang sort of what's at stake and how many people are being hurt. And, you know, he kind of takes that on himself as my absence has caused this, which is legitimate. That is an absolute legitimate issue for him to deal with. And I love the fact that he sort of says that, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Doesn't he say at one point, I have to help these people. I have to be here. This is my job, which is a lot for a kid his age. And he seems so much younger to me in the live action than he did even in the cartoon. He just seems so much more, I don't know, innocent. Boyish. Yeah.
Boyish.
But not goofy boyish like he was in the show. He just seems much more innocent than he came across in the animated.
Yeah, just I know one point you're talking about trauma, there's this associated photo I know that.
Oh.
Where he has to save people, and they were just talking about that scene in the show, and I know they just came across that when in events, you know, they come across the kid in the chair.
Tio.
Before
it. Oh, yeah.
I love Tio.
And he goes into the house, and then he makes that decision. He wants to save everyone individually.
I will say the scene with Tio and Aang felt the dialogue felt a little forced to me, and I couldn't tell if it was just the writing wasn't great or if it was just they're two pretty young kiddos.
I did get some awkwardness from Tio's actor. It
Mm-hmm.
feel a little forced. I
Mm-hmm.
guess would be the right
It
word. But I mean, the
kind of
kid,
felt like a subplot. They didn't give
Yeah.
much time to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, they merged together a lot of stuff with
Mm.
Jet.
They had the least airtime. Aside
Yeah.
Oh
from
no, yeah, no, it
I,
was a lot of storylines, and then you
Mhm.
bring the whole new storyline that happens at the very beginning of, this attempted assassination and bringing in Azula, which I thought was a
Ooh.
brilliant way to bring her in. Like, I was very happy with that.
I kind of had to watch that a couple times because I didn't quite notice that was Azula at first,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
even like here, like I knew that was Azula right off the bat. So like, how did he not know that was Azula?
I don't think she's seen amongst the populace
Yeah.
very often.
So like having
yeah.
seen a cartoon, I'm like, that's obviously Azula. So why I don't get this. Like, why is she standing in the crowd? That was my first thought, and like
That makes sense. At the same time,
oh, she was in the. Okay, this makes more sense. I was lost.
At the same time, I think Elizabeth. I think it's Elizabeth Yu is her name.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
she changed
Elizabeth Yu.
outfits between. She went from like a gray outfit to a red outfit, so I was like, "Why is a Fire Nation lady in the crowd?" And filtered into.
That makes sense. I mean, I get it. But I think in the show, it definitely came off as she doesn't interact with the general public much. She's more behind the scenes, being the creepy little softly from the shadows of the Avatar world, if you will.
The look on her face when Ozai burns that guy,
Oh,
like
it's
just
so
the very
wrong.
smirk was so evil that I loved her even more. Like, loved to hate her even more because that look was terrifying. I don't know how old this actress is, but she absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
I don't think I have her smirk, but I do have the bonfire.
Of course you do.
No, she looks
Yeah.
back and she just has this little look on her face with a smirk that I was like, oh, she is pure evil.
I think she nailed the character from what we've seen so far. She absolutely nailed the sort of almost slimy way she is in the beginning, where you're just like, ick. I don't like seeing her on screen. She's so ick. And her two yes women, I love that inclusion when they're at the range. That is so good. So good.
Well, and I like that. I feel like they did a really good job of setting up their little relationship too, like their little unique bond.
You even saw her one of their blades spinning around.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, the knives.
No, that was good casting.
Here.
I feel like the way they wove her in was really smart. I feel like it adds to her, like what we know is happening down the road.
Like I said, next week, I can't wait for the beach episode that we all know is coming. That is going to be hilarious and just awkward and great.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing.
But
here it is.
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, out of the new characters we met, was there any casting that felt off to you?
Tio was awkward.
Yeah.
No, I think I was happier with most of these casting choices. Like, we got to see and hear the cabbage merchant, which was awesome.
Yeah. And you finally got to say cabbages at the end.
Yeah, cabbages. No, this was much more on for me. Like, I liked most of the casting. Like I said, the scenes with Tio were a little awkward, but I think in the exchanges between him and Aang, but I kind of chalked that up to them being kids. I actually loved the casting of Jet. I thought Jet was fabulous.
My cabbages.
And just the fact that it is the guy too is mwah, perfect.
Okay, my one issue was just the age difference between the actor for Jet and Katara felt a little weird when they were flirty. It was just a little off to me. I'm like, yeah, he seems a lot older.
But he's so pretty.
He is. I'm not going to lie.
He's a very pretty man. Very tiny. There's, good old Jared Padalecki in the background.
He does look like Jared Padalecki there.
I just can't get over it. Even some of the faces he was making as he was riding in the back of that cart. Yeah, no, their age differences. Yeah, but that is so common in Hollywood where you've got, 40-year-old men hitting on 18-year-old girls on screen. So I thought he did a great job of being manipulative and being charming and being, it was perfect.
Well, I the weird thing is in a way, I don't think he was actually trying to manipulate her as much as he's believing his own writing. He's believing he is doing the right thing. He is a zealot when it comes to his cause. Yeah. And, I think he's actually believing his own hype. So
that's fair. No, that's fair. Did anybody else so when they cut to their little camp, in my mind, I instantly started having flashbacks to Hook. I absolutely love that movie. But just as they were walking through the camp, I was like, this feels like the children run camp in Hook. I thought it was
I kept waiting for Rufio to say bang-a-ring.
So it kind of reminded me, you're talking about him kind of believing his own stuff and all that. I don't know if this is a plot hole in the show or a possible scam he was running with her, but they had taken out these guys here. They pinned him to a tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking, and this happens here, and then he's taking out the trash, the guy on the ground, and then they just walk away, and the guy's still pinned to a tree. He's not knocked out. He's just arrowed to a tree. He's still conscious.
Yeah. But they're done with him now. Yeah.
Well, he's a firebender agent. We don't know if he can actually bend fire. Yeah, he doesn't attack with a fire.
Wasn't he the one fire?
I don't believe.
I don't think
one of them was a firebender.
Yeah, I think he was just a spy for the Fire Nation.
Yeah, but either way, he's just got an arrow to a tree. He can still run off.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He's
not going to be hard to track. He's going to be bleeding a lot.
Actually, I think he was the firebender because wasn't he the guy with the that showed the fire off to what's his face? Because they tracked him to the woods. Remember, he showed the fire to the mechanist, and they tracked him to the woods.
Showed the fire to the mechanist.
Okay, interesting.
That's a good point.
I don't know. Huh?
I remember that. I just.
And then he's the one wearing
somebody else. Robe. Honestly,
he's wearing the same robe.
Okay.
So
I missed that. So good catch.
So was this a plot by him because they're working together? I don't know, but he says he's against fire, so it doesn't make any sense. But they also have the explosive agent.
It doesn't mean they won't use it for their own ends.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just a weird plot hole.
I
could come back later. I didn't notice that at all. That's interesting. I just thought he was one of the other guys, and
unless maybe they took the big club and whacked him in the head off scenes. I don't know, but
knocked him out.
I mean, we can go for that for headcanon, but now that you point that out, I'm gonna have to go back because I'm like, you got a point.
It's just very because they didn't show them knocking the guy out, just arrow to the tree, and then they just yapping in the woods and walk away.
Do you have that still of him stuck to the tree?
Yep. Give me 1 second here. Right there.
That's him.
I was checking for the robe and making sure it was the same guy, but it is.
Well, and it's even it's where the arrow's placed. That's
Oh,
all
I don't
you
have
know.
what's his name with the bow. Because he is looking
Maybe
at.
that was intentional.
yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
It's just a weird little oversight of. They didn't talk to him. They didn't get any information for him. They didn't knock him on his ass. Something.
Huh.
That's a good catch.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice that.
I mean, it'd be a little violent to smash his head into. Oh, there's his thumb.
Or
Apparently
will
he's a hot
be
mess.
shortly.
There he
I
is.
literally wrote that down though. I'm gonna make note of that and see if that ever comes back for us.
You're muted. Not sure why. There we go.
Nope.
Yeah, your mute's on, Tom. Now it's off, but we still can't hear you.
Oh no.
That is weird.
Hey, that is the face I make on my computer on a daily basis.
At least the hot mess was correct. With the beautiful Momo there.
I know. I need it. That's the one thing. I don't have a Momo yet. I need a Momo. I need a big posable Momo for myself.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
You got him.
Okay. Sorry about that.
We talked
No worries.
horribly about you while you were not
Yep.
here.
As you should. I deserve
Said
it.
terrible things.
I am the worst, so that works. So.
Yeah, we were waiting for you to talk about Glenn's choice of poster for the YouTube.
Yay! It's perfect.
He's so
the thing that
concerned
makes me
people are
most
going to
happy-
think he's calling him Omashu. I'm like,
Yeah.
nobody thinks that. It says
No.
episode above it. You're fine.
Yep.
But then,
No.
Netflix has probably the perfect poster, actually.
It does.
That is.
My favorite
just-
thing is that they got the guy that did the voice acting for the
Uh-huh.
cabbages. That's him. That's the guy.
Yeah, I could tell by the cabbages scream at the end. My cabbages.
And they did the same thing like they did in I mean the payoff was a lot faster than it was in the Avengers, but they teased us with it the whole time. He didn't say it for like the whole episode to the very,
Yeah.
very early end. I was referencing Avengers Assemble, by the way. The Avengers reference. That's what I meant. That's just the way my brain works.
Yeah, no worries. We knew what you were
So
talking about.
Okay.
We were most recently talking about casting. Was there any casting that was just fabulous or way off
Him.
for you in this one?
Absolutely him.
That's what I said too.
I really, I mean, there was casting that was bad, but I don't even think it was the casting that was bad. I don't know what it was bad. I wasn't a fan of Boomy at all. I think it was just the way they did his character. I like the actor. I love the actor that plays him. He's in he's in a bunch of stuff, but he was in Ghosts, and I really liked him in Ghosts.
Right.
Or Ghost. No, Ghosts.
Ghosts. Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah.
Plural.
And he has a small part in the first Pitch Perfect movie.
I have not seen any of the Pitch Perfect movies.
You're a failure. You're fired.
I've me
Yeah.
flaws.
One
Have
little
me
picture of
flaws.
Boomy in this whole episode, basically.
Well, that's all we saw in this episode. It's
Yeah,
next
yeah.
episode we get
Yep.
up close and personal
Oh,
with him.
shit.
But yeah,
How
this
did
is
I
what we
notice
saw
that
him in
he's-
this episode.
I didn't notice that he's sitting on the rock ball rolling around. I didn't notice
Yeah,
that.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great. How did I not notice? I've watched those episodes like twice now. I'm terrible.
It's okay, Tom. Take a breath. You're all good.
I'm all over the place. I was out in the sun all day. No, you can't really tell. I'm very tan.
Oh.
I've
Being
been
a
out-
fellow Floridian, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
I know today was
I
a
got
pleasant
a,
day.
I got a headshot.
Max, that is in violation of the Schwarzenegger pun law of 1996. I'm gonna have to charge you with that, sir.
I love it. Fun all day, please.
Can I ask Tom a question? Am I allowed to?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
How did you feel about how they brought in Azula?
I thought it was cool. I thought it was a good way to show her like I don't want to say evilness, but like
Ruthlessness.
yeah, that's a great way. Yeah. Her ruthlessness of like just be willing to, really throw people to the wolves, quite literally.
Yeah. Her smirk when the guy was burning alive literally gave me chills. Like that actress won big points with me for just that like one facial expression.
She was great casting for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really don't have a lot of complaints about the casting. The only person that I don't love, and it's only because I love Iroh so much, is just him. And I love him again. Also, he was great in Kim's Convenience and Star Wars and stuff, but he's just not Iroh. He's not Iroh.
Yeah.
I see. I love him in this role.
I like him too. I just
I mean in the role.
Although you like him as Iroh, okay, yeah,
yeah,
he was good.
actually, I do. He does bring a sort of calming influence in his voice and everything. I mean, it's not as good as the original voice actor. It's never going to be. So, yeah, but I mean, I think, yeah, he was one of my standouts as one of my favorites for this season.
I also just really, I think I talked about it last time. I'm always, I'm just so curious as to why no characters have an accent at all. So that was also a little jarring for me with Iroh.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like everyone has like a generic US almost kind of English accent, and it took me out of it a little bit. It took a little getting used to for me. Like the second time through, I enjoyed the first episodes more than I did the first time through the first episodes, because the lack of accent from every single character took me out of the show a little bit.
No, that's understandable.
What did our friend Reverse call that? Recency bias? Because I'm the same way. The more I've watched the live action, like the more I've enjoyed it as something in and of itself.
Yeah.
And I think I'm excited to see where it goes once I got past the initial, like, this isn't the same. I want it to be the same feelings.
I've said this before too, but like, I was more accepting of this adaptation. I was more accepting of the Wheel of Time adaptation the first time through than I was of this.
You were really? Yeah, he was watching it. Were we watching book one when this came out? And yeah, you were really down on it when it first.
I was like, fuck this show.
Yeah. When it first came out.
Not happy. I was like, I see why they left, the original writers left this show, man. The fighting is really cool, and I like a couple of the actors, but Sokka sucks. I was so pissed, and then like it took me looking at it with a different eye to really appreciate it.
We refer to him as JP, Jared Padalecki, JP.
No, it's a good segue. Is that this episode is written by Christine Bolin. They're known for Poker Face.
I think
the song?
Show.
The TV show.
Oh,
yep. Actually, a pretty decent show. If you're watching,
it's good.
It's Natasha Leon. I can never pronounce her last name.
Leon.
Yeah.
And then there's Leverage Redemption.
I don't know what's wrong with you, Noman Garden.
Go watch Gilmore Girls. Talk to me after you watch season 1 of Gilmore Girls.
And Leverage. They've also won a Writers Guild Award for Poker Face. And
Poker Face is a fun show. She can basically tell a lie from anybody, like just in normal conversation. If anybody lies about anything, she can instantly pick it up. She knows immediately when people lie.
Hold on, did you say my spicy brain was thinking of other things? Did you say the director or the writer?
The writer.
Of this? See, that's kind of brilliant though, because this was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot of storylines coming together, and like I said, it felt chaotic to me at some time, but I was trying to relate it back to the animated. I feel like the stories that they chose did work for the purpose that they were trying to do. So I would say the writing. I would go with, other than some awkward dialogue, was
the director.
Yeah.
They don't have much on directing because they did 2 episodes of Airbender and 2 episodes of Lost in Space.
That's a weird jump too.
But here's
Okay.
the interesting part: is they have more credits for special effects.
Okay.
They have a lot in Lost in Space, a lot for Game of Thrones, like 20 episodes.
Interesting.
So
Iron
really
Man.
good special effects. What does it
Mhm.
like? What is the
Sorry,
does
his
it say
name
what the-
is the director is Jabbar Rassani.
no,
I
I mean,
forgot-
does it
I
say
forgot
what the
his name.
title was in special effects?
Just
Yeah, like
visual
what-
effects.
Visual effects. Okay.
Okay.
Huh.
Like
I don't have the
I
exact-
feel like how does it being a visual effects artist translate to directing? But like he could have like done some sort of specific thing with the special effects. But just
But
being
he
an artist.
him and his team have won Primetime Emmy Awards for
Okay.
both Lost in Space and Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Okay.
And they also apparently won Visual Effects Society Awards for Stranger Things.
Hmm.
I read this weekend. I don't remember what day, but they are rumored to be approved for a season 3. Did you guys talk about that?
No,
No,
no, actually, I didn't get that news.
Yeah,
For-
I have
happy to hear
a
that.
Google alert set up for Avatar because I'm a sick person.
Because
Yeah.
no.
And I forgot where it was posted, but the rumor is that it's that it's going to be renewed for a season 3. Like they've confirmed season 2, but
Right.
it's rumored for season 3 as well.
That's good. Actually looking forward to that. So
Me too. I wonder if they're going to stick with 3 seasons like the original cartoon did, or if they're going to try to.
The pace
I-
they're going, I could see them going 3 seasons if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Well, they finished book 1 already, so
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
If
So,
they're
yeah.
I would say honestly, I hope they cap it at that and not try to
Me too.
force
Yeah, not try to like
extra
do more.
ma-
Drag
let's
it
just
out.
stick
Yeah,
with-
don't drag
yeah.
it out.
So far, the things that they've created have been okay. Like up to this point where we are in the season, like the Azula's introduction, I thought have been okay choices. So
My only issue with this episode was that I feel like they did it okay. It wasn't, don't get me wrong, like it's not terrible, but I feel like they tried to jam too much into this episode.
I could see that.
it was confusing, like because
Yeah.
I don't have the history with the show that you do, and I've watched it in such a close succession. Like I had to go back and watch the animated to just kind of like
Mhm.
I was getting confused of trying to put like the timeline and all the pieces together.
Yeah.
But maybe for people who are not giant fans of Avatar, it probably didn't feel that way.
It was just like, and this is another thing like that we've mentioned a million times. Like, you talk about adaptations, and 90% of the time you're adopting a book or something like that to a movie or something,
Yeah.
Right.
or a TV show. This is adapting a visual medium to another visual medium. So like
Mhm.
when people say, oh, well, they have to cut things for time. Nah, screw you. No, they don't. Like the original episodes were 23 minutes and these episodes are an hour. So like, it's almost like there was elements of 4 episodes in this one episode. It was Omashu, obviously.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The water bending scroll with the
Yep.
pirates,
The whip.
jet
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then they even sprinkled in with the I forgot the name of the episode, the one where they go to the Northern Air Temple and they meet the engineer.
The
Mhm.
mechanist.
Yeah.
The Mechanist, yeah.
So like that's like 4 episodes in this one episode.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of storyline. I wish they did a little bit more with the Jet stuff, mainly because the stuff that happens with Jet and Sokka, and are we spoiling the
Yeah,
the
you
cartoon?
can.
The cartoon is okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can
So-
spoil the show if you want. I mean, we're
No. Well, I mean, I could
Pretty
stick
much
to the
so.
show, but and I know they don't do this in the show, so it's fine. Which is, I guess, in and of itself a little bit of a spoiler. But the
you're fine.
the Jet stuff from the show, when Sokka kind of like alerts the Fire Nation to like evacuate the town before Jet has a chance to flood it by blowing the dam up, is a really huge thing for Sokka's character. Like his we're not getting his growth seeing him being slightly misogynistic, but he's also a child. But we're not getting the growth of him learning and realizing that women are just as capable of fighting and doing the manly things that he thought. So like taking this other really important character development stuff out of Sokka's thing just feels like a loss for the viewer who's never seen the cartoon.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I like what they did with Jet. Like the stuff they did with Jet in this was good, and it was interesting to watch. And even though as soon as I saw Jet's hair, I was like, oh, that's Jet.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's, just a loss for the viewer not getting the more of an experience that experience that we had in the show. Like even if they did it in another way, I'm not saying they had to do that same storyline.
Right. I think we did get a touch on that with him really trying to delve into the sort of engineering of the mechanist.
Yeah.
And the mechanist sort of going, you have a mind for this, and him going, no, but I'm a warrior. And that sort of struggle there, I think we get a bit of it, but not quite the same development we got.
Yeah. I like actually that the show that the live action show did that, paid more attention to Sokka's ingenuity than the engine, they actually call him an engineer. They're like, you're an engineer or whatever. I think they use the word engineer, right?
Yeah, no, I think they said engineer for sure.
Yeah. The mechanist, he's like, you're an engineer. You're an engineer at heart or something like that. And I like that they did that in the live action show, and you never get that. Like they talk about how Sokka likes to make plans and he has wacky ideas, but they never wow, you're very smart and you're a good engineer. They never really acknowledge it in the show. And I like that they did that in this episode. Trying to find nice things to say about the show.
Right. I was going to mention
with my negativity.
No, actually you're sort of your difference of opinion on certain things is great. I mean, I like to hear other people's perspectives and why they feel the way they feel. So as long as you can explain why you feel that way, you're all good, man. You're more than welcome here.
So I know. I feel bad because I do enjoy it, but I feel like half the stuff I say is negative. I did enjoy the show, and I do like it.
Nothing wrong with you approaching it with a critical eye.
Yeah.
So it's not like a spoiler for future episodes or anything because I'm being very vague, but they mention things that happen, oh, we did this in this town, or we did this in that town, and these are things that happen in the cartoon.
Yeah. And
they just vaguely reference things that happened, and these are things that happen in future episodes. So in future episodes they completely skip entire events or episodes completely. So while they merged everything in these episodes, we get these events in future episodes, we completely miss out on entirely
other stuff. Yeah,
because they just reference them we did this event,
Yeah. Well, you knew they were going to have to cut some of that stuff. Their choices will approach as we get to them. Not all of them I agree with. There are some that I'm like, you really could have put this in there and it wouldn't have taken much time, and it really would have drove a point home. So
the things that bother me that they took out isn't just because they took them out. It's I used Sokka as the example before, but another good example that has already happened, so it's not a spoiler, but is the a lot of the stuff that Aang did on the side, when they go to wow, what's her name? Avatar Kyoshi. When they go to Kyoshi Island, a lot of the silly things that they did there, riding the Unmagi and the giant koi fish and stuff, it served as a great reminder that Aang was a child. And that he was being thrust into these situations, and it really gave a nice juxtaposition to when he was in his avatar, trying to be the avatar. And it was an interesting dynamic watching him wrestle with trying to be responsible and help people, but also being scared of it and being a kid, and I liked that a lot. And I feel like that was another kind of loss for the not just because I like it, but a loss for the viewer being able to come to terms with that too. Like being reminded every now and then, oh yeah, he's 12 years old. He's a kid. Like this.
Mhm.
We did get the airball scene, which I think helped. Him riding the airball and hitting this. That was a little taste. I do get why they cut, the giant koi and the umagi. It's
hello.
Sorry, I'm distracted now.
We are easily
no,
distracted.
I'm the same way.
That's what I'm going to put. Easily distracted by cats under my name. Animals, just animals. Easily distracted. Can we talk about Zhao? Like,
Admiral Zhao.
Yeah. Why is
how skeevy he is?
Well, but like, why is it just like he's so unimportant? Like, doesn't Ozai actually say that? Like, this unimportant man. I don't know. I just feel like they're kind of doing him dirty in the live action. He's just kind of. I don't know. I don't.
In the cartoon, before he was Admiral Zhao, he was just like, I think he was like that. I think he was like no one cared, and then they bumped him up because he did something in the cartoon. What was it that he did in the cartoon? I don't remember. He pretended to discover the Avatar. He kind of took it from Zuko.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So
kind of makes
that could have
sense.
been what they were doing. I don't know. I like Ken Leung though. He's great.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
like
say. Is Ken Leung? It was so good because you can feel the sort of slime ball energy coming off of him.
Yeah, I hate to say that about him, but like
it's just skeevy and
he
you
plays
can
a good
feel
Good
it.
acting.
And he's writing to Azula. It's the backstabbing, just horrible human being thing. You're like, oh, I recognize that kind of person.
Yep.
So I think we've all known at least one.
Yeah, I mean, he was like, I think he's done that in like almost not everything, but he's been that kind of guy in a lot of the stuff he was in. He was a little slimy and lost.
He was a little slimy in Person of Interest.
Yeah. He was in this. It was in not a horror movie, but it was like a thriller where he played a guy that kidnapped someone's mom and killed her, just kidnapped her and held her for ransom.
Oh, that's better.
He was he was pretending to be like, but he like pretended to be in a relationship with her for like months and months.
Wow.
I forgot the name of that movie. And the whole thing was done over like a webcam. The movie.
Oh.
It was shot from the perspective of like the daughter while she was on her computer. So it's like this. Like this is the movie. Like this shot is the whole movie almost.
Huh.
Okay. I think there's two movies I know of like that. They both fall within the horror /
Yeah, it's a thriller
genre.
horror type movie. And then he played a Brotherhood in a Brotherhood mutant in X-Men Last Stand. He only had like a handful of episodes, but I mean a handful of scenes.
Last Stand. We don't talk about that.
I feel like he might have gotten typecast, but he was good in that part. And I like how he develops over the rest of the show as well, which I will avoid talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I love his interference in Zuko's business, and it drives Zuko so crazy that I love the little interactions and seeing how he throws monkey wrenches into sort of everything that Zuko's trying to do.
No, when you said the actor's name, I had to look it up because I'm like, it's Ken Long, and I'm like, Ken Jeong from Community.
Leung.
Oh no,
Leung.
Yeah.
And
Leung.
Ken Jeong is Ken Geung from Community.
Okay.
Why isn't he in the show? He needs to be in season 2. As someone,
he was good. I liked him.
Ken from Community needs to be in season 2. If he's not in, it's an injustice.
That was a good show too. Fuck, man, now I want to watch that. I haven't watched that in a while.
I think
I don't know who he needs to be, but he needs to be someone.
Oh, I'd love to see him in it. I don't think anybody would,
I mean, if they were to do the Kyoshi plot line that we missed, Avatar Day, he could be the other mayor guy.
Yeah.
Well,
he could be perfect for that role.
The
skeevy mayor that tries to get him killed.
Yeah. The dynamic between Zuko and Zhao in the live action show is more like Zuko kind of, I don't want to say he trusts him more, but he kind of assumes a baseline of honor that everyone has. and he doesn't realize how much more honor he has in his general activity than everyone else. He just, takes it for granted how honorable he is, and he doesn't understand that that's not how most of the people that he's interacting are.
Do you see how angry he got when he thought the Fire Nation were being basically terrorists and blowing stuff up? He's like, but warriors don't do that. We face them eye to eye. We don't do that. And it's like, dude, how naive are you?
Yeah. It's a good I feel like it's a good it's a good character aspect to have in someone who you would like to be a leader one day, but like functionality in the world, it's to his detriment now, but he learns his lessons the hard way. So
I love the fact that we sort of get the entire picture painted for us, that half of the Fire Nation's problems are daddy issues and sibling rivalry. I love that we set that up this episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the fact we get that just makes me smile, because I mean, in real life, that's kind of how it is a lot of the time.
Yep.
Well, the thing that Avatar's always done really well is show depth to their characters, not just they're the heroes, but the villains too, and that's a great it's a great thing to do with the scale of things, like how it's like, not, just because you're at war with this country doesn't mean everyone in the country is evil. And even everyone in the military isn't bad. Like, they're not all our enemies. They're stuff like that. Iroh drives that home with them a lot. And then, like you said, Zuko's honor in like how they conduct warfare is good to show like the viewer that not everyone thinks like that.
Well, I love the fact that Iroh points it out. He's like, we don't know where the true heart of the Fire Nation, is at this point. We're kind of lost as a nation, is basically what he's saying without saying it. And I love that statement, and the fact that, he kind of points that out to Zuko. And I think we do see a little bit of a change. If I remember correctly, I haven't watched ahead, so I'm not 100%, but I think we do see a little bit of sort of toughening up, and I was going to say hardening, but I didn't want anybody to snicker, of Zuko's attitude.
Overall, his character development is easily one of my favorite character developments in any property. Like, he's got one of the best arcs.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I always compare him to Vegeta, because the arc is similar in that, we start off with these people we don't like and who come off as bad guys, and you see this slow redemption. But I think Avatar does it way better.
Oh yeah. I mean, Vegeta is more just like, I have to train harder so I can fight him again. And then over time they're just like, fuck it, I guess we'll be friends.
He gets worn down more than, sort of changing his outlook on things. But yeah, I do got to say it's one of my favorites. I think we can all agree that in this episode in particular, as an adaptation, they might have reached a bit far, trying to meld together too much.
Yeah, this episode was very.
You can feel that
crowded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's busy. It's very busy.
I'm curious if it felt that way for people who were not original fans, or like, does it feel that way to us because we're trying to pull all those different parts of the story in? It'd be interesting to talk to a new person.
Seeing all the different aspects of this different stories coming together, like our brains are calling up the parts of the story that we know like happened in the show. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know.
I would say this episode and the next are the biggest issues with trying to, like, if you watch this and then go to watch the cartoon, you're trying to figure out, where does this align?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you're watching, like, where's the order? Then you finally watch the cartoon through, like, okay, this is where it's pulling through.
Yeah.
My wife watched it with me, and she needed clarification at a couple of points. Wait, which one were they going after? What are they trying to do? So I do think for somebody who hasn't seen the animated series at all, she did have some questions, and she got
a lot. Yeah.
So if you watch the
little
cartoon first, it's
confused.
going to make more sense. But if you watch the show, then watch the cartoon, it's going to be very confusing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which I'm trying to get Glenn to do. So
the animated series is quite literally some of the best writing I've ever experienced.
Absolutely. I can say it is the greatest animated series writing I've ever seen, but
I mean-
not just that. It is some of the greatest writing I've seen anywhere.
So,
Yes,
like,
you.
if just for Glenn's sake, some of the guests that we've had on the Monday show, like I want to say 3 of them, like when I usually I start a new show, I'll email people that have been past guests and stuff like that, and be like, hey, this is the new show that we're going to watch. Let me know if you want to be on an episode. And a couple of 2 people, Kristen Gruel and actually Winespring, who's going to watch.
Winespring in.
Yeah, she's going to watch with us tomorrow.
Nice.
I hadn't watched the show, and they weren't big cartoon watchers, they said, but they were like, I want to do this episode, and I've been meaning to watch, so I'll check it out. And they absolutely love it. They're like, oh my god, like the show is fantastic. Like it's so well written, and we all know who Winespring is, but Christina Gruel is an author, so like that's pretty, I think, high praise coming from someone who writes for a living.
100%. I mean, that's going to mean more to the average person than my measly opinion. So
Yeah.
That's why I try to surround myself with educated professionals, and then that makes me look better
by association alone. Like I stand there and I be quiet.
That's why Chris was my co-host now.
Let's see here. Where were we? Were there any themes for the episode? Like I said, this episode was kind of all over the place, so I think it's hard to nail down like an overarching theme for the episode. Responsibility for Aang. I mean, he gets to see people are getting hurt, and this is his first exposure to that, and it affects him deeply. And
how poor the societies have fared over the course of the 100 years without an avatar.
Yeah,
I would say trauma, like I talked about earlier in the episode, like that we're seeing everybody's trauma response to what's transpired the last 100 years.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it affects on Jet, Omashu is a city and stuff like that.
Yeah, show begins and ends with betrayal.
Yeah.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
The little bit that we get the negative aspects of Jet's character in the same similar fashion that we got from the cartoon, but like I said, the thing that I felt like this was really missing was and overall throughout the entire show, to be honest with you, is the little bit of the viewer getting to experience the character development of Sokka, where we have Sokka in a state of where he's already kind of learned those lessons, and as a viewer, for me at least, and a lot of people that I've spoken to, it was a better experience to have seen him go through it.
Do you think, just given the current world we live in, they didn't want to have, they wanted to take that type of narrative out of it, that his particular arc? I don't know.
I think that played a part. I mean, it was definitely in the discussion.
That's a negative.
Probably.
Like a negative, showing that growth for Sokka would have been better for nowadays, I feel.
Yeah, that's true.
Showing that, even though these people are your enemy, maybe we shouldn't kill civilians. And
really,
exactly. And then women are just as capable of doing whatever, they're or better.
I just wondered if they were worried about making him even slightly misogynistic at all. Like if they just didn't want to, who knows?
I think there may have been some discussions, particularly they aged the character up a little bit.
They aged them up. So it was more forgiving in the earlier episodes because he was still a child.
So young.
Yeah. So he loses that sort of innocent excuse where you're like, okay, he's a kid and he's learning. He has to learn this lesson.
The fact that he learned though was really good. Like, you know, a lot of people don't learn, but like, you know, the fact that he was willing to take in that information and not dismiss it or write it off as, you know, some other reasoning for things happening the way they did.
For you viewers at home, please make sure you check out Dragon Mount. They are doing a watch along tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern.
It is going to be a long episode because the finale is actually a 3-parter. So it's the final. It's a 3-part episode.
The
so
last one.
Yeah, I know. I think it's an hour and 10, or like it's an hour and change. It's more than an hour and 10 minutes. The episode, the actual Avatar episodes themselves.
I remember watching those with my kids and having to wait.
Yeah. Oh, but we also will. I know.
Three-parter.
It doesn't count our nonsense. Like,
it doesn't count our nonsense.
No, not at all.
Also, we will be announcing next week's show. Not next week. Our next show that we're going to do on the rewatch.
I know who was leading when I voted, so this should be interesting.
Yeah. So, if you voted on Instagram, House of the Dragon was leading the last, like when the polls closed.
When that ended,
And on Twitter, Fallout was leading.
Yeah, Fallout was definitely, it had a big lead on Twitter.
So we had to go to the numbers and actually do the math.
Oh no, not math.
Yeah.
The math.
I'm out. I don't do math.
I guess we could announce we're going to have an off week in between, but we're going to watch a movie.
Yeah.
So
and I'm very excited.
Together. In the same way that we've been watching the Avatar episodes and the other episodes, we're going to watch a movie.
Do you know what movie you're watching?
We do, I think.
Excellent. So you're going to announce that tomorrow?
You could say, Crystal, if you want.
Are you sure?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, we're going to wait till tomorrow.
We'll save the show. We could save the show for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll save the show for tomorrow. We're going to watch Beetlejuice.
One of my favorites.
Right?
I'm very excited. I haven't watched it in years, and I'm very excited.
I love it. So we talked about some other things like Clue. I'm trying to think of what else was on our list, but I am really so excited.
One of the things was we figured a lot of our viewers already have Amazon Prime Video, and Beetlejuice is on Amazon Prime Video. So like, you know, some of the stuff we wanted to watch was on like HBO Max and things, and I was like, that's another thing. You know, maybe a lot of people have it. So with the watch party that we're doing, you need to have your own subscription to the platform that you watch the thing on.
I am absolutely going to be tuning in for that. The Beetlejuice and watching along. One of my favorite movies of all time. So I'm a Tim Burton fan. So
yeah, me too. I love Michael Keaton too. I'll really just watch anything with Michael Keaton in it.
Birdman was so good.
Movie. Yeah. One of my favorite roles of his actually was in The Other Guys.
That makes sense. I love him in Mr. Mom is my personal favorite.
Mr. Mom, Multiplicity.
Multiplicity is top of my list.
Oh, that is a good one.
Oh man, when I saw the cast, I was so excited. The fact that everyone was coming back and the story didn't look completely ridiculous. I mean, any more ridiculous than summoning a demon from a miniature set, but
it's going to be lots of fun. I'm very excited.
But tomorrow, the thank you for the promotion, by the way.
Yes.
Tomorrow, the Avatar finale first with Wine Spring. I'm excited for that.
Absolutely, and I want to thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Always.
I know it's not easy taking time out to watch a show that you've already watched.
That you love.
It's not. Everybody has schedules and things to do, so I get that. And we appreciate you guys actually taking the time. And
I enjoy both of you very much. Glenn, I'm still on the fence on, but
that's fair.
You I enjoy very much. So.
Yeah, I've known him for about 5 years now, and same. Max, on the other hand, you are solid.
Yeah. Literally, you're not liquid, you're solid.
That's fair, Glenn. But we will be back next week with the episode. Tom is probably going to lose his mind and his head will explode. We get Boomy. I know you've been waiting for this one, and I've been like, this is going to be a great episode because I can sit back and just let Tom rant.
No, I'll try not to. I'll try to. It's your show.
I
No, I
feel you
want you
love the
to,
armpit
man.
hair, right?
I want you to share
so
your
many
opinion.
problems with this episode.
You
This
want
was
to
my
braid the
least
armpit hair, right?
liked episode of the entire season. Like this is still like even going back and having rewatched it like 2 or 3 times at this point is my least liked episode.
It is the weakest for me, honestly.
Yep, same.
Writing wise, it's the weakest.
Yeah.
But we will get into that next week. We hope to see you folks here. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Don't forget Dragon Mount tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the finale of Avatar, and the following week, the watch along of Beetlejuice.
Yeah. And you get to find out what our new show is.
Yes. The big announcement. So until then, don't forget to be awesome.